Greetings, peace be with you. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 7 levels of semen retention ascension. Okay, now I've made a lot of videos about semen retention. I'd say it's close to 50, if not more than that, but this is possibly the most important video about semen retention that I've ever made, because it really gets to the core of our spiritual evolution, right? Where you are on the spectrum, which is related to the 7 chakras, will determine where you are in your spiritual evolution as well. Okay, and once you have an awareness about where you are, that is when and only when you can begin to transform to where you want to be. Okay, you cannot transform that which you do not accept. So make sure to stick to the very end of this video so that you can understand where you are and how to get to the highest level, which is that of the crown chakra, right? To really transmute this creative energy that we have and reach the higher extent of our awareness, right? The highest extent of our awareness. So the first level, right, is that of our root chakra, which is that of survival, which is that of being stuck in that lower paradigm of awareness and consciousness, whereby you might be experiencing the shame, you might be experiencing the guilt, you might be experiencing the grief, you might be experiencing the fear, right, of not making it out alive. And when you're experiencing these emotions is when busting a nut becomes an avenue to escape from them. Okay, if our sexual / creative energy is being expressed through the root chakra, the lowest chakra, is when we are caught in survival. And when we are caught in survival is when we are not the conscious creators of our reality. We are actually escaping our reality through busting nuts. Okay, very, very important. This is not about a judgment about what is right, what is good, what is what is bad, what is wrong, right? This is about understanding where you are, because I remember when I was caught in that survival point of view is when I didn't know what my future held for me. I didn't know how I was going to generate income. I didn't know if I was ever going to move out of my parents' place. I didn't know if I was ever going to be good enough, right? The reality is we're already enough, but it was just that there was heavy conditioning that was holding me back from actually leveling up. And when I experienced those lower level emotions is when I would go down the path of busting a nut, and I would feel good in the moment. But what that would do is deprive me in the long term of actually channeling that energy to create a future that I actually love. And it's very, very difficult to break out of it, because when we're stuck in that survival, this becomes a coping mechanism. And the more that we engage in it, the more that the neurons in our brain begin to fire together, right? Then they wire together, and then we get the dopamine fix from that. And then it just becomes way more difficult to break out of it, right? I'm speaking from personal experience over here, from being addicted to this morning and evening ritual of busting nuts, because I felt so much shame and guilt about who I was and why I was not living up to my capability, right? That I was engaging in this escape. Now, the second level, right? The second level is that of the sacral chakra, which is associated with our emotions, right? And let's say that this is associated with the level of consciousness that is related to desire. Okay, now this again is a very slippery slope, because someone who has a second chakra that is relatively open, right, is excessive, you can say, can go down the path of just chasing this thrill of getting this quick fix, right? So it's not so much as an escape from how you feel. It is to some extent an escape, because you don't feel whole and complete, but it's more about getting that desire, right? Feeling good rather than escaping feeling bad. But still, when you're trying to feel good, you still feel bad, right? It's like, what did Mark Manson say in Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck? He's like, the acceptance of a negative situation becomes a positive situation, but the desire for a positive situation becomes a negative situation, right? When we want something, when we desire something, that in itself is a negative experience. But when we accept the way that we are right now, right, even though it's not exactly optimal, then that becomes a positive experience, right? So with the second chakra, when it's relatively open, this is something that I, in my own journey, reflecting back on it, it's like when that was opened up and I was like, you know, in touch with who I was to some extent, you can say, or not who I really was. Maybe it was just like I understood social dynamics or whatever it was, and I got addicted to the validation that could come from, you know, my friends when they saw that I was going ahead and meeting and sleeping with random people, right? Then the overly open second chakra is where that comes into play, where it's just about busting a nut and getting that validation, getting that desire, and you go down that path of getting hooked again on that cheap thrill, right? So you're still on that lower level paradigm. You're still on the bottom three chakras, which are not anything wrong with them, right? We have to have them balanced, but when they're overly, excessively, too much energy flowing there is when we get caught in that spiral and we can't really evolve in our spiritual growth, right? So speaking from personal experience, when I was caught in the second chakra of desire, it was like just chasing all the time, getting validation from girls and just always on the next one. It's like, oh, I got this one, now I need to get to the next one. And really, when I look back at it, that was a compensation for how I felt. I was like, I don't feel good inside, right? So I'm gonna go get validation from someone else, right? So on the first level, it's like I'm gonna feel shame and guilt, so I'm just gonna escape how I feel. On the second level, it's like, maybe I don't feel good enough, but if I get the validation, then I'll feel better, right? And then that just becomes a hedonic treadmill as well, right? That's the second chakra. Now the third chakra, which is the solar plexus chakra, is associated with willpower, right? This is when we wake up to the realization that, okay, I can control this urge. I can control my seed, because I understand the value of it, right? At the third chakra, you're understanding, okay, if I conserve my seed is when I can allow me to experience a lot of benefits, like more energy, like more vitality, like more creativity, like more myself, right? And this is the level of nofap, right? Putting that willpower, I've experienced this urge right now, but I'm just gonna resist it, I'm gonna suppress it, I'm gonna do what needs to be done, I'm just gonna put it down, right? Nofap, I'm gonna use my willpower. But I did this for a long time, but eventually it gets to the point where it can cause more harm than good. I made another video about the primary danger of nofap, right? I'll link out to it in the description as well. But basically, when our energy gets trapped in the third chakra is, again, when it's not being allowed to transmute upwards towards the higher realms of spiritual growth and evolution as well, right? So yes, we can use our willpower, but if there's no purpose, right? The purpose of this life force energy is to be transmuted, not suppressed and repressed, right? Of course, like when we're on this path, when we're on this journey of letting go of destructive behavior patterns, like watching pixels on the screen can be very, very difficult to break that habit. It's one of the most difficult things that I've ever done, right? So getting to the third level is perhaps part of the journey, but it's just the beginning of a very different journey as well, right? Because once we realize, okay, it's not about the suppression or the repression, right? You get to the level of the heart chakra, and this is associated with acceptance, right? Not judging things as good or bad or right or wrong, but understanding that everything is the way that it is, and what is my objective right now, right? Getting to the level of acceptance is like, yeah, I have this energy within me, but I don't have to suppress it, I don't have to repress it, I can accept it so that I can transform it, right? Like I mentioned earlier, like you cannot transform that which you do not accept, right? We have this sexual energy within us, we have this urge within us, but the difference is what we do with it, how we transmute it, whether we suppress it, which leads to those relapses, which leads to just those negative emotions, which leads to anger as well, okay? And we also have the other option where we can transmute that energy, right? We accept what it is and then we transmute it towards our creativity, right? Which is the fifth level, which is the throat chakra, which is our expression, right? Ever since I started on this journey, I've been making daily YouTube videos, right? A part of that is keeping my word to myself, but another part of that is like I have this calling to express myself, right? This calling to express myself, and we all have this calling, right? We are all creators by the virtue of our being, but we've been conditioned into victims that are trapped into survival. We are here to create. Yeah, we are here to create what can never be created through the unique combination of our experiences and our genetics. And that is when we begin to transmute that energy towards our expression, whether that's through your music, whether that's through making videos, whatever it is, you are here to create something that was never ever created before, right? And that's when we get to the level of the throat chakra. And then the level of the third eye chakra, right? This is all about vision. This is all about clarity. This is all about intuition, right? Because if you have that energy within you, only then can it be transmuted and allowing you to access that bigger picture, right? So many of us struggle with creating consistent progress in our lives because we don't have clarity on what we want. We are lost, we're confused, we're caught up in external agenda, circumstances, and expectations. When we get to the level of intuition, of clarity, of vision, we actually transmute that energy and begin to conceive of our ideal reality, begin to conceive of the ideal version of ourselves. We begin to conceive of who we can be, of who we are capable of being. And when we access this point is when we can experience that future version of ourselves right now. That is when we begin to shift the structure of reality, right? By elevating the frequency of our vibration to match the frequency of our future self, the version of ourselves that is strong, healthy, vital, wealthy, like abundant, right? You can tap into that through your third eye. And once you can tap into that is when you can begin to experience it in the moment, right here, right now. And that is when you begin to attract things into your life. Okay, I'm going to make another video on why semen retention accelerates the law of attraction, but it really comes down to increasing your ability to raise the frequency of your vibration to match that future version of yourself. And that really comes through opening and activating the third eye chakra over there, right? So understand that where you get that fix from, the dopamine fix is always coming, right? Whether you're getting it through visualizing your future, whether you're getting it through creating yourself, whether you're getting it through accepting the way that things are, whether you're getting it through suppressing and repressing it through willpower, right? That is what describes your level of spiritual evolution, right? Where you are getting the energy, right? Ultimately, we want to have the energy in our chakras balanced, but in terms of our sexual energy, our creative energy, it is meant to be transmuted throughout each and every single one of these centers. If it gets blocked in one of them, is when there's no energy left to go throughout the rest of them, right? So it's all of them, right? Yes, we are here to also procreate, but when that is not our intention, then it is to transmute that and create, right? To visualize, right? And then the crown chakra, this is something that I haven't experienced too much in my life, but this is something when I was seeing someone that I deeply connected and resonated with, having that experience of transcendence, okay, where the division between subject and object disappears, the division between you and your environment disappears, you become one with everything that is. And this is something that I cannot be explaining in words. It's something that can only be understood through your own experience, if you go through that and actually have that experience, right? And that is because semen retention allows us to have that orgasm without ejaculation, which then allows us to transmute that energy and then really allow us to circulate that between the chakras of our partner and ourselves as well, right? Like that, that's the signal I'm doing. And that is when you can experience that state of transcendence, which allows us to experience that unity, right? I speak a lot about this channel. Yeah, we're all each other living different lives. Yeah, we're all pure consciousness. The source of everything that is one, right? I can say that those words, but actually experiencing that is, I think, something that can be known endlessly. And yeah, something that I think you have to experience for yourself to truly understand. It's something that can be experienced through, you know, meditation, through psychedelic medicine, through a lot of avenues, right? And sacred sexuality is just one of the most intense that I have in my journey, right? So that is a quick look at how the 7 chakras relate to the 7 levels of ascension with semen retention. Okay, leave a comment below letting me know where you find yourself on this spectrum so that I can help you out in any way that I can. And if it's been helpful for you, leave a comment below as well. Subscribe if you have not already. I'm releasing new content like this every single day, so don't miss out on that. Click the like button if you like it. It really helps the channel grow. But with all that being said, I will leave you in the peace and power of the one infinite creator, and I will catch you in the next one. Much love to you. Take care.